Okay, so let's watch more Batman the Animated Series, and this episode is going to be The Laughing Fish. So I don't know why it's saying that. There we go. Okay, here we go. Digging through HBO Max here. So let's go ahead and get started. There's our Warner Brothers logo, which fades into a blimp and pans down to our bank, which is going to explode. There's our shifty-eyed characters. So this one's based on an issue of the comic book. This is again like the Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne. This is based on one of the issues from the Marshall Rogers, Steve Englehart run on Detective Comics. A legendary run, considered one of the best. I certainly consider it one of the best. And this is based on the two-part story, The Laughing Fish and The Sign of the Joker. They both had separate titles. And it's a pretty close adaptation for the most part until we get to the end. And then it becomes an adaptation of a completely different episode for a little bit, or a completely different issue of the comic, I mean. So we get no title card this time. We get an animation of this sign swinging back and forth. Very unusual for Batman the Animated Series. And then it simply says The Laughing Fish. Written by Paul Dini and directed by Bruce W. Timm. So now, the story that I heard was that Bruce Timm was actually kind of disappointed with his animation when he got it back, which I'm thinking is probably just, him being overly critical, because I don't have a problem with the animation in this episode. I don't see why most people would, but I can see why Bruce Timm himself might look at it and be like, this could have been better. But as a result of that, he had given instruction to Shirley Walker that she needed to bring her A game for this episode and make sure that they did a really good job with the score. So this is a particularly good score, is what I'm saying. Batman just happens to be there when these fishermen are unloading his fish, or their fish, and they all have ghoulish Joker grins. Bizarre Joker fish terrify waterfront. Another mad plot. And I do retain the idea that this version of the Joker is the Joker as I like it. A lot of people say that Mark Hamill's Joker is the best, or that the Batman animated series version of Joker is the best. He's certainly the Joker as I like him.
The dissection tray, please, Alfred.
Sassy Alfred. And I love the way Batman responds to him. Like, enough of your sass, Alfred. So one of the differences from this story and the comic book story is obviously Harley Quinn didn't exist in the comic book story, but they put her into this version, and that's very similar even to the shot when that Marshall Rogers drew when he walks into the office. And also the joke here is different. Instead of the Great Scott, actually I'm Irish. It's Mr. Francis says, "Good Lord," and Joker goes, "Where?" I guess they figured they couldn't get away with that joke because of religious stuff.
For my fish, of course. This has all been worked out for me.
You're just a tiny little cog.
So don't speak to me again. Now, what is everyone in town talking about? Your fish? I told you not to speak!
So she sprays him with the perfume.
As I was saying, since every fish and golem now bears my famous and frankly fabulous face, I should be getting a profit from every fish product sold. Let's say a nickel per fish sandwich, 50 cents for sardines, millions of
50 cents for sardines. Like probably a can of sardines probably cost like 50 cents back then. They're only like $1 nowadays.
You may speak that. No one can up to like fish. They're a natural resource.
So the Joker's plan in this one is a fairly crazy Joker plan, even as far as Joker plans go.
Trying to cheat the Joker, are you?
Which is that, he was he's poisoned the fish so that they look like him, and then he wants to get royalties from the fish that look like him because he poisoned them to look like him. You think?
Coming up next, Farmer Ben. Well, he's not out to poison people. This diluted toxin only affects fish. Maybe he's trying to make us all die of disgust.
Now, in the comic book, he does an announcement over the TV, but here they take a cue from the 1989 Batman movie and have him do like a whole fake commercial. I love, he's got his henchmen dressed up like the kids, and one of them's even like a little girl with like pigtails.
This would cause a stampede to form.
And Harley does not like fish. He doesn't care.
Yes, Brad. Joker fish. Tasty, tempting, and of course,
Naturally low in cholesterol.
just as soon as that nasty Mr. G. Carl Francis decides to give me my deal kind of profit. Change the channel.
And of course, the Joker interrupting the airwaves to make his threats. That's something that goes back to the very beginning when the Joker would interrupt radio transmissions in his very first appearance. The laughing fish is kind of a riff on that first story where like the Joker announces he's going to kill somebody and then they die at the stroke of midnight as he said that they would. And it turned out it was a time-release chemical.
Hey, this is police business. Hold your back foot out of here. Hold it, detective. No one knows the Joker's methods better than Batman. He states, glory, hug, and long on the way. Batman, why is this happening?
I love Bullock.
I've never done anything to this Joker. I'm just a...
He's Joker. So it's like some word he's never heard before.
That's a joke, Mr. Francis.
Friendly fish distributors. Not suspicious at all. Smiling swordfish. I think you know where this is going.
Feeling all right. Oh, sure. It's just that everything's been so crazy today. I haven't even had time to rinse off that gunk the Joker's girl squirted at me. Get this man to our
Yep. It's too late, though. Probably should have mentioned that a little bit earlier, Mr. Francis. See, that's a shot right there where, like, that's a pretty ambitious shot. And I can understand how, like, Bruce Timm might look at that and be like, that did not turn out as well as it was in my head. That's the kind of thing that I think he was probably thinking about when he said he wasn't too happy with how the animation turned out in this episode. Although, for the most part, the animation in this episode has been pretty good. It's not been, the best we've seen on Batman the Animated Series, but it's hardly been the worst, I don't think. And did a great job with the acting on the face and how the face is all pulled back.
That guess is one part of binary thought. The Joker exposed Francis to the other one when he threatened him this morning.
Like, look at the way that his mouth, it's almost like the muscles and skin of his face are trying to pull themselves off of the skull.
But I'm not. If I get complete my
Just looks extremely painful.
number 2 bureaucrat, Colin Jackson, will heal my rat. And now, Batman, because I know you're watching, here's a message from our sponsor. All units keep your eyes open for any.
That's a great shot there.
I'd like to go on record as saying this Batman business is the lamest idea, and I duly know, Lieutenant. But we're going to try it this way to protect Mr. Jackson.
And here comes the fish. Or the cat with the fish.
Must have scared him off. What's that? Just like that.
Coming in through the cat door.
Superfish. It's affecting you. Look out!
And he's scratched. Scratched by the poisoned fish. And you see how, like, they keep injecting people with an antidote, right, as they're poisoned, but they certainly don't seem alive. Ain't breathing. And yeah, of course, that was Batman had disguised himself as the potential victim and dressed the victim up as Batman. But the cat still knew his master. Bullock is another character that wasn't in the original comic book story, and they put him in for this version.
It's a Japanese tag, not native to Gotham.
And he's going to be important later on as he goes off on his own. Bullock's actually pretty smart, too. He's actually a pretty decent detective because he knew exactly where to go. Batman, of course, being Batman, observed that was not a typical fish, and so did Bullock. And they're both going to the aquarium because they know that's the only place where you might find an exotic fish like that. You see how Batman sees something unusual and realizes that it's a clue? Like if Batman saw like a carpeting tool, he might realize that would be a clue that something, like, even if he doesn't know it's a carpeting tool, he would know he doesn't know what kind of tool that is. And just not knowing what kind of tool that is, maybe he should research it. I'm getting off on a tangent. I always like scenes with Bullock and Harley. They work out so well. Those two characters have a lot of really good chemistry together, and you don't get to see them together that often. But you've got Harvey, who's this rough and tumble, slovenly, bad attitude cop. And then you've got Harley. So this whole segment at the aquarium, this is a piece of business that was not in the original Laughing Fish story. This is from a story written by Denny O'Neil and illustrated by Neil Adams called The Joker's Five-Way Revenge. And I'm guessing that they probably figured that episode, that issue wouldn't translate so well into an episode of the show. But they really wanted to do the Batman fighting the shark thing. And hey, we already had this fish themed story, so we might as well just have Batman fight the shark in that. And that's basically a pretty simple story about the Joker just kind of one by one picking off his old henchmen because he knows one of them betrayed him, but he doesn't know which one. So he's just going to kill them all. And the last one, Batman tracks him down to an aquarium. Oh, I love that shot. That nice painted shot of Batman driving the Batmobile. And you can see, again, where the music just makes it that much cooler. That da-da-da-da, like that sting of that leitmotif. You gotta love it. But yeah, Batman would have tracked down the last of the henchmen to this aquarium, and it's all a trap for Batman because he wants to have Batman, the Joker, wants to have Batman fight the shark. So this little segment is more of an adaptation of that part of the Joker's five-way revenge. For anybody who's curious, as wants to read the original comic book stories, that's the ones you want to read. You want to read the two-parter of The Laughing Fish and Sign of the Joker from Detective Comics, and you want to read it's that issue of Batman actually that I have up on my wall. See the resemblance?
Check out my catch of the day. I didn't need no back computer to tell me that weird-looking minnow came from an aquarium.
See.
Yes, well, this is all tremendously boring. Of course, I can always amuse myself watching old.
Of course, Batman didn't need a back computer either. He immediately recognized it as a Japanese tank. Batman knows his tank.
I'm the one who gee, and let my little guppy go with me. No. What do you think we can do about that?
So Batman is willing to put himself in Bullock's place.
I think I'll start using my toxin on cat food. Joker burger.
Talk about a happy meal. But, you know, I figure Batman thinks he's got a shot against fighting a shark. He's fought sharks before. It's really funny how often Batman has fought sharks. Now, the most famous example would be in the 1966 Batman movie, in which Batman has to deal with an exploding shark that's sent after him by the Joker and the Penguin. He, of course, fought the shark in the Joker's five-way revenge. He fights a shark in the Legends of the Dark Knight storyline Venom. Batman fights sharks a lot. Batman's probably fought more sharks than Aquaman. Of course, Aquaman can probably just tell the shark to go away. And much in the comic book, he manages to hook his manacles over the shark's jaw. Joker's just having so much fun watching this. And of course, this ends a little differently from our comic book story. See, he guided the shark into the coral, and it broke some of the window, and then he guides the shark into the window and breaks it the rest of the way. And then we'll see the Joker. We'll see the shark fall into some more water in a minute. So the shark will be fine. But in the comic book, the shark doesn't, wind up so well because, yeah, see, there he is. He's in another tank now. And he goes out in the ocean. So he gets to be free. Actually, he's better off. In the comic book, Batman just kills the shark straight up, breaks his neck. And then, since the Joker's henchmen was actually in a wheelchair in the comic book story. He uses the wheelchair to smash the glass. Honestly, like glass you use in an aquarium would be so thick. I don't imagine anything like coral or a wheelchair or a shark would break it because it's got to hold all that water. But you know, it's a comic book or a cartoon. It's just an action adventure story. You kind of overlook stuff like that. Goes for it. This is where we get back into the kind of back into the where the original story goes, except for the Joker gets hit by lightning and then falls into water, and there's not a shark there. It's implied the shark eats him, but of course we know we'll see the Joker again. But Harley can't resist, but give him one last goodbye with the Jerry Robinson Joker playing card, no less.
He was a demented, abusive, psychotic maniac.
I'm really good at this.
Bullock's just like, I don't get it.
I think he's done so good. Believe me, Jim. I wish it were true. But deep inside, I doubt it.
Yeah. And of course he's right. The Joker will return. But they can't resist. We give us one last jump scare there with the shark. So I really love that episode. I think it's a really good adaptation of the comic book stories that it's based on. And like I said, it is a combination of some various comic book stories, but they're all good ones. So you know you don't really mind so much. It would probably be nice at some point to see like a full adaptation of the Joker's Five-Way Revenge, but I can see why they might feel like it doesn't work so well for for the animated show, because you know it's just a story about the Joker picking off his henchmen, and you know they're already kind of antsy about letting the Joker kill people. Dang it!
Do you think he's done so good?
So we really need to get back to the credits, but it's being way too far. Well, now I just went back. Frustrating. Anyway, I guess that's it for this episode. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.